My tires are like a bacon with a jittered ridge, clam, bake you, and a pizza. Whether you, a frog or nymph, hate frog eggs and tadpoles, the answer's yes. I'm like a long, nasty soak in a pig pushed out of a poke, soaked in fecal water you imported from your mama's toast. You a long way from the East Coast. Motorized weasel or aerated slugs. Doug Muffin had a dog step coming in a federal depress packet sent from Canadian Uplift, but the antibodies at it again, doing the DOHC dote with Doodly Squat. We popped out what we bought, and our pops were like, as long as you didn't get caught. I'm like a lycra smear poodle nephew garden hose, mostly groceries though, I must suppose. If you buy into my nose, you'll find out I have more nasal assets than I presently disclose. I filled out the form, marked Alpha Gamma Beta Fish, and then I played the Start Spangled Epsilon Delta 9 free throw athletic disc competition in Alfalfa, Switzer, Spain in Dolphin 19, only the second ever year for the revised competition. Dark Saveri poured his burden out to me over a glass of Danish whisker melt in Switzerland. But those sorts of conversations had been outlawed by the Yerkel Dispatcho between years of 6, 7, 12, and we knew we were pushing the line, something grumpy. But by that point, we had given up, and were basically daring the federales to imprison and torture us. They were happy to oblige, but I took toenail cleavers and raggedly snapped at their noses in turn, yanking out the gap between their nostrils and feeding it to the next in line like a sort of arterial windsock that pursed its lips for winter but let its mouth hang stupidly open in the summer months. He had so much more than the note about the type in the back of the book, but he only read that, and it makes my heart spurt asynchronous yogurt packets towards the stunned onlookers' faces, and when the corpse came cropping, they feared the worst of my actions and wasted too much time questioning witnesses about potential perverted acts, and too little time treating my open chest, oozing my life essence, and I floated to the clouds, untethered to my body and free of the pull of gravity. The polarity of light suddenly became my most salient reference point for movement, and I leapt from beam to beam, twisting in ways wild and unimaginable while still ensconced in my frail human frame. As a beyond being, I was far beyond. Yo, far, far beyond. Yo, particular-lusa. But I swam the light polarity right to your inner ear, which I like to call an in-ear. But when I tell roadies that they're like, that's already a thing. In-ear monitors, you dippy. Oh, so I must murder them slowly in the alley behind the bar. Oh, what now? A dead roadie? And now in your inner ear, I'm just sort of laying bug eggs in the little hairs that make you hear notes. Sucks for you, but my boat likes it. My boat's name is Humphrey, and he has stacks of little foil-wrapped pepper peepers, and he pops them into his plosive potion, and they sliver away into little fattish, suede-clad fashion baskets that melt to their tissues but not their bones. And I like to recover the tiny little bones of the inner ear. And I have sort of an automated flea circus built from dozens of these 3 tiny little ear bones. And that's why my vascularity is unparalleled. It's one impossible description after another. With the Bovine Cruelty League really overstepping their mandate in the last fiscal 12 month, I had to cement them to the floor to get them to shut up, and they started to stank bootly after that, which makes me super poopy. I headed into the outhouse, which I actually kept inside and had my home in the surrounding backyard. A trifle unorthodox, potentially. Berta were also a great way to take joint riptious dumps and dumbettes inside a noise building, rather than in a skanky old freezing code backyard with riddle bitty squirrelies stirring at your straining flanks. I like to rolly howl like an owl at der moon when I plop 'em out, so I barrel through the yard armed with the fence post shy to the uprigging, and I stood clenched, rude to the lookout valve, and peeped and peeped and peeped. But eventually the dump blumped out like a beagle beetleburger feather arm gobble ritual and chicken goblins running around in the hard scrabble, and they began to just look like nothing but giant beaks pecking at everything. And I thought I had never seen such stupendous stupidity in any creature. So I pulled out a mallet hammer and used it to Thor-style fly to a place with the more interesting animals. So I pumped myself into a backwards pipe and came out forwards. because we worked in the mirror image here in chirality class. I had a chastity observation to make, but it would have to wait until I was done pumping it into a mirror with ghastly underlighting to make me deeply ashamed of my basic human need to ejaculate. Chista, chist and crease, dwelling stud bert tween me and mama baba block wisp. A cough, I say until you that burr and BBB. I had a baby hawk, but him didn't talk back, so I had to say squawk, squawk, and I'm gonna bwack, you're bwack.
My doll is not in a house, but my house is hidden inside a tiny doll. Oh hi, my name is Venkermeyer Clydelison, Hanharnhoon Hanian, Macmillian Dillion Dorster of Roysterbert Dwabbleswim, and Schreider's Insult Emporium Storium. Planetarium, plenary sanitarium, sanatorium. Practice, yes, Santanaria. He thwart his pissed off ma, he'd slaughter all his daddies, but he ain't. He ain't got a paw. And so he shaves a pigeon and he snorts up all the hair. It's only when he's dying that he realizes that pigeon was a bear. Oh, what I really like to grow are pestles. What I really like to grow I can't imbibe because it's solid and not a liquid. So practice crystal ball. We gotta get good at this before the throwdown showdown, or it's my ass on the line. It's your ass on the line. It's swell, Vic's Dickerington Town, Billingsworth, Flog Grid, billiard billows, and a bellows for the sick, and a foundry for the well. And a Bismarck quiz that takes a total timing resident and burns in all the Forez's worder twees to boin and shreddle and peg and dump Doonbergies into the little insectoid blugs, matflesh and flesh birdets and bradets, and we braid twellery into wriggly strands of strange noid beef and Wanner's reading, zero rating bargs fuel roll, and we gort horties. I gloat boardies too and twee, and zerfte blurpies, whiskey, and triskirt, a traskert. Cord blurmies, Bert my boomy, his blastin' burmy boisties, and sure do, small narsty. Gleister weester, burnt weist, aller feast, Cheechin eats. I packed a Flindustry cloth with hessels, and they packened up and threshold and swiveled and beveled and sorta hooked up with books, booed, lone, high ghosts, and toast boasted like a slavering lad. Certain he knows, and he gets roasted like at the friars, and they do, in fact, fry him like cert. Oh, Kenny Rogers, chickadees, bleeding blood and boiling, they gravy parquets and suction forming them into some kind of radial cheese laser matrix that is itself encoded in every part with the grand sum of the totality. It was cited in over 400 research papers in a scant 3 years before being revealed as a hoax and a sad attempt at a Family Matters reboot peppered with subliminal obscene hand gestures. Everyone hoped you wouldn't notice, but of course, people did. The Standards Board received more paper email calls and handmade postage stamps in that 3-week period than at, to quote, a street anemone that lived nearby in a bog, any point before ever combined and everything ever after multiplied. That indeed sounded like a serious series of beer ladles gone photovoltaic at the precisely worst possible moment, muttering something about buffering steins and spatulate hands that turned to antenna and back at a moment's notice. He also turned into a dog squid, though, so he had a lot of spiriens, te speaky preekies about it, right to say, en swees. He swees and swoes, and chirpy derp, doki doo, handburn cranenball, cannibular fits, and candibara cappy burnage. He don't dot he stoys, him drunk quas he stees. He just slarshes and slarshes are all ladders. He chorps and chop eyes at all leaders. He keels thee. He killed the bee. He keeled the jay. He coiled the sea. He keeled the U. He quilled dur H. He quillied dur S. Him's Kalifi Durtala PK. He's a Kiliampai thee, a himself called Davy. Himalayas krilled thum fef. He killed Ahman Y. He killed the letter A. Harser killed letter Z L-I Z-E-Z. Hi-ho Quampe. Der Retter. W. He's in Kralik Du Weddy T. Hama He-Ho Krilled Bo Rhetoric C. X. This dude's whole thing is he krills and krills the wed terbs of ders alpha wet. He killeth letter D. Innocent called let word R. This a boy take out letty O. He see krilled lutor G. Oh jeez. His saman we quilt letter P. He krilled retur L. Who is a main room quildeed Q. He quillited durst letter M. Hest a guy whom killed deed letter I. And he'd a goy what slaughtered letter N. He's a letrasi dal moidulur. Quill him, quill his self deed. Deed fur liver.